It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
You want something, go get it. Period.
You gotta keep moving, let's go. Don't quit till you got nothing left.
This is where we have been, this is how we got here, this is who we are.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
You're listening to the Hustle Indy Show, sponsored by FS Houses, where we seek out some of Indy's most hustling people and places to learn about what they do, how they got started, and where they're going. Sit back and enjoy the show.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the very first episode of the Hustle Indy Show. We are really excited to be doing this. We kind of on a limb just up and started getting going on it.
Yeah, approximately 7 days ago.
Yeah,
we had an idea, and here we are.
Yeah, 7 days ago, this was not a thing, and here we are. I am your host. I'm Brendan Helm. I'm from Indy, grew up here, born and raised, and I am joined today by some awesome guests. I got Ian DeFelice in the house.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, Brendan.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm actually from Southern Indiana. I moved to Indianapolis about 5 years ago, to go to school at IEPUI. It's been great. I love Indy. It's actually one of my favorite cities that I've been to, and the fact that I live here is awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so we're both local, from Indy, here in Indy, living in Indy, loving Indy. Everything about Indy is awesome. That's what we're here for. And transitioning into the topic at hand, the show, the Hustle Indy Show, is about Indy. We got together not too long ago, decided that we needed to start a show highlighting Indianapolis, discussing the hustle, the bustle, the grind that goes on in Indianapolis. We wanted to get guests in here that have hustled, are from Indy, love Indy, and do things in Indy, and just really get to know them, how they got started, what put them in the position that they're in, and why they chose Indianapolis.
Yeah, just I think having an open forum with some people that are local like that is a great opportunity just to kind of learn, especially for people that are wanting to do it for themselves here. And it would relate to really anywhere as well. But what about Indianapolis that these entrepreneurs have started here that they love the most, what has got them to where they are today is kind of what this show is all about. And just bringing Indianapolis into everyone's homes and bringing these people that you might have heard of sitting down in front of us and having a conversation is going to be really a cool time.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited for where we're going to go and the people we're going to have in here to talk to. And this show is actually sponsored by FS Houses, if you didn't already hear in the intro. And my good friend here, Ian, actually is affiliated with FS Houses. So why don't you tell us a little bit about FS Houses? What do they do?
Yeah, sure. So I actually started working here. It's coming up on a year and a half or so. I knew that I wanted to do real estate, and FS Houses does everything that I was looking for. They do investing, they do traditional retail sales, they do rental properties, and anything in between there as well. And so I sent an email out saying, hey, I don't know anything, please hire me. And they gave me a chance. They brought me on. Ryan and Ashley are great people. And this company is something that I'm very, very passionate about. So being able to work for them and do everything that they're doing has been really awesome. So I do anything from property management to traditional sales. I do photography, marketing for them, kind of anything in between. I'm just the person that they ask to do something, and I go out there and do it. And it has been an awesome experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I am very grateful for FS Houses, the sponsor of the show, for giving us an opportunity to do something like this. I mean,
yeah,
it's exciting, it's fun, and we just get to meet new people.
We thought about it one week, and the next week we're here doing it.
Exactly.
So that's what's awesome about this place.
Exactly. And speaking of FS Houses, we actually have one of the co-founders of FS Houses as our first guest with us on the show. Why don't you introduce Ryan real quick and give him...
Ryan Mullin, he is the coolest guy you'll ever know. He does anything from starting random businesses like this to painting awesome pictures and running a very, very successful business here in Indy. Since 2014, FS Houses has been established. Ryan, very nice to see you today.
How's it going? I'm so excited to be a part of this. This is awesome. Thank you guys for putting this together. And man, I couldn't be more pumped about this.
I know.
How crazy is it to look at this room now? And
Yeah.
I mean, literally 7 days ago, we were sitting in it with a whiteboard and a wall with some missing drywall and
Terrible
some old
carpet.
And we're sitting here now with a brand new wall, a sign, a table. Like, how awesome is it to see that
A
transformation?
logo, a whole
Yes.
setup,
Yeah.
cameras, everything. This is what it's all about, right? We had
Yeah.
an idea, we put it together, we're doing it.
Yeah.
We made a commitment to ourselves, and we're doing it. So
Yeah.
that's what
Not,
it's all
not
about.
just an idea guy anymore.
Right.
Someone actually
Yeah.
doing it. I love it. I
We're
love it.
executing. What you got going on today? It's Friday. What's going on?
Oh, it's a big Friday. It's a big day. That's why I'm wearing a collared shirt. But seriously, yeah, we have a lot going on. Obviously, this is the first podcast, the first episode, which is huge. And then once we finish up with this, we're going to be doing a what's called a street sweep. We're going to go into a section of a pretty cool neighborhood called Rivoli Park. And we're going to be walking around and picking up trash and helping out, making
Awesome.
the block look better.
Awesome.
Which was organized by Ian, of course. And then after that, I've got a First Friday event at the Circle City Industrial Complex, which is, just kind of north of Mass Ave.
Okay.
And
First Friday. Can you? What is that?
so every first Friday of the month, there is art shows, and this isn't specific to Indianapolis. It's just kind of an artist thing.
Okay.
There's gallery openings, and people hold their studios open just to show off their work, hopefully sell some stuff, and artists work together to kind of put these events on. Specifically, Circle City Industrial Complex is, it's probably like 2 square miles. There's like 80 artists that have spaces there.
Wow.
It's quite the event. It's been weird with COVID. Like they've had to really adjust things, and there was months of canceled events, which was sad. But we're kind of back at it and getting back into the full swing of things, which is exciting. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you got a busy day ahead of you.
Yeah.
So the weekend hasn't really started yet.
No, it will be. Yeah, it'll be a full day. It'll be 10 or 11 o'clock at night before I'm done with my my thing. So.
That's crazy.
I guess that's what it takes to be successful.
Yeah.
All right.
Speaking of FS Houses, why don't you touch on exactly your vision, what you guys do? What is FS Houses? Where do you see things going? What exactly is FS Houses?
So FS Houses is it's a real estate brokerage. The idea behind it kind of came, inspired from Fountain Square, right? Fountain Square, 10 years ago was a wildly different neighborhood than it is today. Good and bad. But the vision of FS Houses was to, kind of see a neighborhood transition into what its potential could be, right? We try to focus on neighborhoods that need a little bit of help, that need investment, that need houses to be fixed up. And the reason why that was the vision in the first place was because I am an artist. I was, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I was looking for a cheap place to live where I could make my art and just kind of get by. Back then, Fountain Square was that neighborhood. Nowadays it's a super expensive neighborhood.
Yeah,
It doesn't,
very much so. Yeah.
It doesn't quite fit that bill, but there's other neighborhoods in Indy that need a little bit of help, that have creative people, that have entrepreneurs, and people that care about the neighborhoods.
So how do you go from art to real estate? How does that transition happen?
Well, that was again Fountain Square. So I went to IU Bloomington from like 99 to 2003.
Okay.
I moved back to Indy, and of course, getting out of college, you're always broke. You need a cheap place to live.
Yes.
There was some subsidized housing in Fountain Square, and it was strictly for artists, right?
Wow.
Didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, it was a thing back then, and there was a waiting list though, right? So I couldn't get in, and I told my mom was like helping me try to find housing back then, and she said, you know what? we can buy a cheap house in this neighborhood and fix it up a little bit and, kind of go from there. So as it turned out, we bought a house for like 50 grand.
Okay.
I had 2 roommates. They were each paying like $200 a month or something. That covered the mortgage and then some. So I'm living for free. And I thought to myself, we should do this, but like times 1,000. You know? Like why wouldn't we continue doing this?
Right.
So that's how that's how you go from a broke artist to getting into real estate.
Wow.
There you go. So the FS stands for Fountain Square.
It unofficially, people ask and we say it doesn't really stand for anything, but that's what it means to me.
I learned that today.
Awesome. So when you're living in this situation, did your parents have anything to do with real estate at all, or was this purely just kind of off the top of your head, this is what I want to do?
So yeah, yes and no. I grew up in like Broad Ripple, South Broad Ripple.
Okay, sure.
And my parents growing up, they always had like 1 or 2 rental properties.
Okay.
So that would be kind of like like every once in a while we would have to like go in there and paint and stuff like that, do random work on these houses. As a kid, you hate stuff like that, but then, you kind of grow up and realize, they found a way to kind of have an investment or, just kind of like something that, you save up some money, you put it into a house and you go from there, and it's kind of, you grow from there. So I kind of learned that as a kid.
Cool.
So aside from FS Houses, what other stuff do you got going on in your life? I know you've dabbled in a little bit of everything. I know you do art and you got the FS Houses. What other professional stuff do you really do?
Good question. So recently, at the beginning of the year, interestingly enough, Ashley, my wife, and I came into an opportunity to invest in a metal company. So we're part owners of Circle City Metal Works. Okay. Which we kind of do like artsy wall decorations, but we also do anything from like a handrail or a banister for a staircase. We do address signs for houses, stuff like that. So that's this year's most interesting project for sure.
And you said that started to take off recently, did it?
Yeah. It's especially during so March, April, May, things kind of shut down. But online, everything was blowing up. So
that's good.
It was oddly good for us.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Interesting.
So aside from that, what kind of hobbies do you have? What excites you outside of business?
So, yeah, it's interesting because my hobbies they're kind of like side hustles. They turn into these little small businesses. I love art. I also love, I have a thing for trains. Mm-hmm. So like 5 years ago, I started a little business selling model trains, it's like my own little thing. I run it out of my basement. I spend like 15, 20 minutes a day on it. And it's a hobby, but it's also a tiny business, right?
Wow. So you usually turn your hobbies into businesses is kind of what it seems like.
I have a weird habit of
starting businesses.
I can't not do it that way. Like it started with a collection of model trains that my dad gave me that his dad gave to him. Lionel, model trains and
wow.
And I started to collect them, and my wife is like, "You're a hoarder. Like, why do you have so many trains?" So I was like, you know what? I could sell some on eBay, and then I made myself a website. And,
now those little trains are paying the bills.
Right. So it's just one thing leads to another, and here we are. So
I guess if you're gonna start a business, you might as well do something you enjoy already.
Oh
right.
Yeah.
It seems like everything that you have started has started out as something that you genuinely enjoy doing.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
How does that play out in the actual like business world? Does it help you? Do you think that having hobbies as businesses helps to drive those?
I think so. I think that everybody should have something that they're a little bit passionate about that's outside of work or your day job or whatever. And if you can kind of, like I said, 10, 15, 20 minutes a day, you work on something, and then eventually it can turn into something a little bit bigger than you thought. So.
Right. Wow. I mean, just look at this podcast. That's
real.
interesting. Yeah.
0 to 100 in a week.
In
Yeah.
a week. Wow.
So Indy, you had a free weekend in Indy. What are some of the things you would do? Where would you eat? Where would you go for entertainment?
Oh, wow.
What are your go-to spots in Indy?
Wow. Okay. I'm just gonna throw some stuff out there. If I was gonna go eat, I would go to Shapiro's, right?
I've heard of that. Never been there.
Oh, you gotta
What kind
try
of food
it.
is it?
I'm pretty sure it's a deli. It's a Jewish deli. I'm pretty sure.
Sounds right.
It's been in the same place forever, as long as
Yeah.
100 years or something. I have no idea. I have no clue. But that's like a must for Indy, I would say.
Okay.
And then it's stuff to do. If somebody was coming to visit Indy, I would tell them definitely try to go to a sporting event.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We have killer, football, basketball. We have a hockey team that most people don't know about. We have a soccer team that not a lot of people know about.
Yeah.
But if everything is shut down and you can't go to a sporting event, I would say go and visit some we have a lot of great parks here.
We do. Yes, absolutely.
Just too many to even start naming them, but yeah, I would visit some parks.
Cool. I think kind of going back to more of the business side of things, what about Indianapolis is the reason that you've stayed there? Like, why are you still in Indy versus trying to move to somewhere like, I know a lot of real estate's popular in other states like Texas and things like that.
Yeah.
So why have you decided to kind of plant yourself here?
So in the real estate world, the number one thing is Indy is affordable, right? You can live here for dirt cheap compared to California, compared to Texas, compared to New York, Denver, you name it. Indy is it's just the place to be for affordability. And then and people will say yeah, but the real estate market is so hot in California. Sure, but why do all of these California real estate investors come to Indy to buy houses, right? Because you can get a house in Indy for $125,000. In California, that's a down payment, So that's why, really. I mean, the numbers work well here, and I've traveled to a lot of different cities and kind of compared numbers and tried to see if investing in those cities was viable. And there's a lot of great markets like Louisville, for example, just 2 hours south of us, but at the end of the day, it's there's enough property here in Indy to exist forever. So why go anywhere else?
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
That's something I didn't even know.
Moving forward, what are some of your kind of aspirations, goals, whether it be business, personal? What do you look for moving forward?
For me personally, as much as I love real estate, and I will always have a hand in real estate, I will always, be a part of that. But for me, I definitely want to get more into e-commerce. I definitely want to move more towards selling my art and making a living that way. So kind of, retire from real estate type of thing, but then move into, these hobbies or small businesses that I run. I'd like to, pursue that more. That's my goal.
Right. So if you move away from real estate, would that be a time where you're looking to, okay, now it's time to move out of the state, or would you still look around Indianapolis, or how would that look for you?
I will always live in Indy. This will always be home for me.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't mind owning, for an example, an investment property in Lisbon, Portugal would be awesome.
Wow, that is quite far away.
To visit there, stay there, vacation, and then maybe it's an Airbnb the rest of the time. That's kind of something my wife and I have talked about a lot. And it doesn't have to be there. It could be anywhere, but we'd love to travel. But Indy's it's just the best place to live, and you live so affordably that you can afford to travel,
exactly.
right?
Yeah. Yep.
So as you're pursuing these different ventures, and whether they're business, professional, or hobbies at all, what has kind of driven you or motivated you to get things going and to keep going once you've started them?
Oh, good question. If you commit to something, well, with FS Houses, it's we have this thing going. We've committed to it. We're not just gonna. We couldn't stop if we wanted to, right?
Right.
There's families that depend on us showing up to work every day, that's a big motivator for me. And then for myself, I just once I commit to something for myself, I can't like let it go. I'm just kind of obsessive like that a little bit, I guess. But yeah, I don't really know the answer to that question other than like if I tell myself I'm going to do something, I just do it. And I show up every day and if I don't show up a day, I feel weirdly guilty about it. So I don't know.
I think that's something that a lot of people lack and I think take for granted too. So like they'll have these awesome ideas, they'll come up with amazing things and they might even get started on them. But then 2, 3, 4 weeks down the road,
kind of fizzles out.
Exactly.
Yeah. Gets monotonous. The same thing day after day. Gets a little too hard. That's when people stop. But that's when success really starts to happen.
Yeah, and you can definitely see that in the different, businesses, hobbies, things that you've turned into, kind of businesses that have kind of fueled themselves.
Yeah,
it's really cool to see that persistent mindset and that pursuing different things while you're still. You've got a handful still going on, and you started a podcast in a week. It's really cool to see that stuff going on.
Well, and that nothing happens with just me. It's always it's the people that you surround yourself with, and that's one of the motivating factors. Is like being around good people and then feeding off of their energy is huge for me.
Yeah,
sounds like you got a good team around you.
Yeah,
this is really cool.
How is it? So you said Ashley's your wife, correct?
Correct.
And you guys both started FS Houses together?
Correct.
So how does that kind of look, or how does that work? Do you guys work well together? Is it kind of separate sides of the business, or how does that really run? Because that could be difficult for some people.
Yeah. So we, in our office, we're in exact opposite sides of the building.
There's a little distance.
We do get along really well. We work together very well. But when you're married to somebody and you work with them full time, it gets a little hectic at times. But we have very different mindsets. She's very organized. She's very just like really good at managing people, keeping tasks going. Stuff like that, just organizational stuff. Whereas I'm creative. I'm the dreamer. I have ideas. And she like I'll go buy a property and then turn it over to her, and she's the one that runs the general contractors and renovates the property, and keeps things moving like that. So I'll see a rundown house and have a vision for it. I tell her about my vision, and she does it. So she makes it happen. So really, she's like the meat and potatoes behind everything. I'm just kind of like the dreamer guy, like the idea person.
Yeah. Are you both from Indianapolis?
She's actually from Cincinnati, but moved to Indy in high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, and then we actually went to high school together at a little school in Broderpool called Chittard. And she was working at a property management company, and I was doing leasing for that company, and that's kind of how we didn't meet because we met in high school, but we kind of got together through real estate.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And here you guys are running a real estate business together.
Yep.
That's really cool.
So it didn't take long for us to realize like, oh, you have XYZ skill set and I have kind of the opposite. And so we just kind of naturally came together and started this company.
Awesome.
How has so what has Indianapolis's role been for you and your wife and your businesses and your hobbies specifically? Like, how has it been a personal part of everything you're doing?
It's just everything. Like, when we first got together, we lived in a neighborhood called Ravenswood, and then quickly decided that we are downtown people. Because we like living in the middle of everything. Like where we live now, Heron Morton, we can walk to Mass Ave. We can walk to a coffee shop that's 2 blocks from us. We're kind of surrounded by restaurants. And just cool stuff to do and really cool people. It's very diverse, which we just really enjoy that aspect of Indianapolis. And it's cool because there's a neighborhood in Indy for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Everybody can find some place that they can identify with and that they really enjoy. Like some people love living in like a kind of like a suburban feel,
Right.
kind of like a like an area that's newly developed, like
There's a lot of new builds going up recently.
yeah. Like Hamilton County, for example, is like a huge booming development, just one after the other, which is great. But we kind of enjoy the historic neighborhoods with older homes and kind of closer together and
Sure.
inner city living.
So if you had to move from where you are now, you said you really enjoy it. Was there another part of town that like kind of really attracts you? Maybe move back towards like the Fountain Square, like down there, or a little bit further out, or where would that look like for you?
I think so we lived in Fountain Square for a little bit and moved out. This was 10, 12 years ago.
Okay.
We had to move out. The crime was outrageous, honestly. But fast forward to now, Fountain Square has just become an amazing neighborhood. Like I said, it's honestly it's a little too expensive for my taste now.
Gotcha.
But I think if we were going to move anywhere, I think we'd move back to Fountain Square.
Cool. So moving forward in your business, what would you, looking back, I guess, on your business, what would you do differently? What would you change about it? Would you different area of town, different strategy moving forward? How would that look like? What would you do differently?
Oh, that's a great question. I've always, looking back, which I do that quite a bit. I'm always like, man, why wasn't I more on top of the social media stuff? Like starting from like, back in like the MySpace days and like what, like why didn't I, I mean, I've always done decently well at it, but I feel like I should have put more effort into that and like, just kept different things going. Like I can't even remember how many different things I started and then shut them down, like YouTube channels and stuff like that. I wish I kept everything going, but obviously you have to kind of pick and choose how you spend your time.
Yeah. Social media is powerful.
It really is. And from what I've seen, it's kind of like that thing that people, when they have a business idea, the last thing they're thinking about is the digital aspect.
Right.
They're thinking, so like lawn care, for example. I help out a lawn care business with their marketing.
Yeah.
And the last thing they're thinking of when they're starting the business and when they're getting going is, let's promote this on Facebook or Instagram. It's like, that's not what you're thinking of. You're thinking of, okay, what kind of equipment we need.
Sure.
So like in any business, you kind of have to, in the moment, think, okay, there is this beast called digital media and social media that can literally double my influence, double my customer base. Like,
and
it's crazy.
And it's new. It wasn't always like that. Like a couple of years ago, somebody came to me with a business that they were starting, and they said something about, choosing the company name starting with A so that it will show up first in the yellow pages. And I was like, oh wow, that's fun. Times have changed. Like it's all about social media right now, and it will be forever. I mean, this is it. And it's awesome because you can start with $0 and build something out of nothing.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, the startup for this podcast was minimal. We got a table and some paint and stuff. And
this is a nice table.
I know. It is really nice. So if someone were to come up to you and say, like, Ryan, I'm an artist. I want to start businesses. I've got all these ideas. What advice would you give them? What would you tell that person that's like ready to go?
I would say, get out the whiteboard, start putting up your ideas, right? And then keep it start that day with the idea and then do something every day to move it forward. Whether it be, register your domain name, right? Install your, get your Instagram going, right? And then document everything and keep it, because that's good content no matter what it is.
Absolutely.
Right? I think that's what I would say.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's awesome.
Putting things into action and not just having it on that whiteboard.
Yeah. The idea is cool, but like you have to keep going every single day.
Right.
Yeah. That's good. All right, well, that's all we have for this episode. It's been awesome getting to sit down and have this
great time.
great conversation with
Yeah.
you two. Thank you, Ryan, for joining us. It was really cool to be able to learn more about you and what you do.
Thanks for doing this. And thanks for having me, and thanks for everything, guys.
Yeah.
This is great.
It's been a blast. So what would be the best way for people to contact you, get a hold of you, or whatever that looks like?
I would say fshouses.com is a great way to start. If you go there, you can either just use the contact us thing, or you can find my profile on there.
Perfect.
But yeah, I would just say Google FS Houses. It'll pop right up, and I'm on there along with everybody else that works here. So
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to subscribe. Make sure you keep checking back in. We've got a lot of awesome plans set in store, and we can't wait to see you guys next week.
Have a great day, guys.